Super Supportive by Sleyca. Chapter 239. The Turning of an Eye. The house always woke before its master, in the manner most helpful for his predicted day. Saturdays were special because small sacrifices were made throughout the week to increase the likelihood of one perfect morning out of 7. The coffee grinder was the first sound allowed to reach his bedroom, and then came the soft whoosh of air through vents so that the smell of the beverage brewing would arrive before the drink itself did. When the mug was filled, it was to be carried upstairs by a single levitator disc controlled by a remote, placed in a drudgery box by the small robot that reigned over several such boxes in the hidden space beneath the staircase. The dog would reach the master's room before the coffee. This was the nature of golden retrievers, and right. The master's Saturday slippers were already waiting by the side of the bed. The robe he would wear to take the dog out for a morning walk was draped over the foot of the bed, placed there only a couple of minutes ago and still warm from the dryer. The stair sweeper for the outdoor steps had been activated half an hour ago and then moved along to do the neighbors' stoops. The street cleaner had already been passed. The master of the house was also master of the neighborhood, and so when he took his dog for its walk, his Saturday slippers wouldn't get dirty, unless, perhaps, he chose to cross the grass of the square. It was freshly dewed by sprinklers, trimmed yesterday so that the smell of a cut lawn lingered. "Good morning to you too, MBF," said Elias. He tied the sash on his robe, then rubbed his dog's ears with one hand while he took his coffee with the other. "Tell me about what my family has been up to during the walk, and then I hope you found something interesting enough for me to watch over breakfast." "There are 37 people on this week's list," a voice whispered in his ear. "Shall I add more?" 37 worthy of a Saturday morning. What a fun country we live in these days. Narrow your recommended subjects to 15 and I'll choose from those. Holden and Stuart left the courtyard as soon as the basics of Olgeto Vicondo's sentence were announced. Thrice the number of years Ouroboros had served his mother, to be spent in productive labor for the betterment of the people of the Triplanets and the worlds that acknowledged their leadership. And 1/3 the years of the average ordinary class member's lifespan, because of the damage his spell and the exploding wand might have caused if things had gone differently. 9 more years for agreeing to protect the here-to-there, and then betraying his path by doing the opposite. It was more than the rest of Olgeto Vicondo's natural life, but still a gentle sentence, as Executioner Vilma pointed out. After all, she could have ordered him to repay thrice the years he'd hoped to take from each member of the Boer family in the future, or thrice the number they had already served over multiple generations. This mercy was an appreciation for the fact that Olget hadn't drawn the process out by demanding mind readers or truth spells. Once he had recovered from his collapse onto the courtyard tiles, then Vilma would review his proficiencies with him, so that she could find a placement for him that would make him useful and present him with opportunity to reduce his sentence. "I wanted a happier end to the here-to-there," Alden said, when they were back out in front of the executioner's mansion, walking down the drive in their way to a place nearby that had an alcove. "But if I look at it another way, you and I did everything we could to make sure it stayed happy for the people we promised to guard, so it was good for almost everyone." "Yes, I have done my best to be proper, and you have been exceptionally giving of your time, thought, and abilities. We shouldn't allow ourselves regret." "Why do I get to be exceptionally giving while you only get to be proper?" "A votary on duty can't be called exceptionally giving in many circumstances," Stuart said. "To meet every need with best effort is their job." "I hear that." Alden tried to use his inhaler and found it was finally empty. "How surprised do you think Executioner Vilma is going to be when she realizes exactly who she was sharing her passion for Rodin with? The person who suggested he help Anesidora before anyone could think to prevent him from volunteering, and the human avowed he used for one of his crimes." "I don't think she has any way to know of my role, but I can't comprehend why it didn't occur to her that you are that avowed. She has to be aware that Aunt Alice commended you, since she seems to have learned everything else about it. Maybe I should have told you to wear your embroidery, but I didn't expect to meet someone with such an interest in Rodin. Since she has that interest, shouldn't she assume any human traveling with me is most likely you?" He started walking faster. "She can't imagine members of my family summon her avowed from Earth frequently. Or she shouldn't if she knows anything about us at all. Maybe she assumes I'm someone who wants to do that, to make a visual statement of opinion or status, and she believes my parents would indulge me?" Alden could tell he was bristling at the very thought. They turned off the executioner's drive onto a grey walkway that would take them to the local music school with the public alcove. She obviously thinks you've been influenced by Leaf Song. I'm your strong-looking, Artonan-speaking decorative guard, and every night an Utwi comes to freshen your pillows and tuck you into bed. Bayab Oath received admonishment for lack of study in Artualis casting class, so his family no longer sends their avow to pamper him like that, Stewart said. Now we must endure his sullenness during what should otherwise be the most restful part of our day. That's so sad. You sound like you do not mean it. I am sorry he annoys you. The wind stirred. It was more like being toasted by a low-powered hairdryer than experiencing a nice breeze. Do you want to... I think you may wonder about my vision and cognition. You don't have to avoid questions like that. Stuart's cheeks and ears were purpling a lot for someone who was volunteering the topic himself. I did notice you turning an eye earlier, Alden admitted. But I was actually about to ask you why your family doesn't have any contact with Earth. Except for me, as far as I can tell. I thought if you ever felt like telling me why you don't split your vision, you would. I'm curious, but it probably catches my attention less than it does in Artonans. I know many more people who keep their eyes pointed in one direction than I do people who can look left and right at the same time. It took a few seconds for Stuart to respond. During our first several interactions after you returned from Thagund, I indulged myself by imagining you didn't notice at all. I didn't at first. He'd noticed oddities, including Stuart's tendency to stare a lot and blink infrequently during some conversations. But he hadn't wondered about the vision splitting in a specific way while Stuart was serving him his first cup of the good wevy and being so very Stuartish about his nerve-damaged foot and his guest. Singular focus was the natural response when I learned to regard what was left of my mother's mind trap as a threat to me. Healer Yeno encouraged it, and she supported my comfort with it as part of my healing. Now, he was speaking slowly, I can divide my thoughts. I do so to cast spells, or when I want to better understand what others are conveying when they pair think. But it requires more effort than it would for a normal Artonan, and I don't turn an eye often. I don't like it. And sometimes I fear liking it too much. Why? I often see her when I do, Stuart whispered. She's not a hallucination because I don't struggle to know she's not really with me. But there may be a possibility I could access what's left of her gift to me and let it entrap me again, in a shameful moment. Lela Inwer's gift, a world with no pain or worry, where all things were beautiful. I thought... Alden revised the rest of the sentence several times before he let it escape. I thought something like that couldn't happen to you again. I won't let it, said Stuart. Maybe it can't, anyway. My mother was so talented and so knowledgeable. My mind trap seems to have been anchored not only with my mind, but also alongside my spot in reality in a way that all my healers were unfamiliar with. But it's almost entirely gone. I'm sure it will be one day, Stuart. Stuart gave him a pained look. Thank you, Alden. I am less sure. Healers don't alter the parts of the mind that truly resist, and the mind trap is how my mother loved me. Alden swallowed. Oh, wow, what do I say? I've been avoiding this subject because I wanted you to feel as welcome as a warm day at the sibling hold, but since you've brought it up, the Rapports voted against making Earth a resource world. So much political power was expanded that we only recently became confident we can manage all of the important votes that will happen as a result of the opening of the way to the place where the Ilket lived. I guess I say nothing because he's just bouncing right along to this. The Knights were against Earth? All of them? I'm sure some disagreed, but the matter was so serious and so strong felt for most that all cast the weight of their vote through whoever was serving as our representative to the Grand Senate at the time. Queen Yes said humanity was controversial. Why don't you like us? We've got great stuff on our planet. I know when your people arrived, we probably seemed a little warlike and dysfunctional, but some of the other resource worlds are definitely more concerning. Are you offended? No, but I like Rapport 1 more than anywhere else I've been on the Triplanets, so I hope all the Knights there don't think my species is the worst one. You know they don't think that, Stuart sighed. This is probably the kind of thing I shouldn't say because of proper discretion. I'm not sure. You're certain to hear about it eventually from someone, though, while we're spending time together, and it doesn't seem like it should be a secret to me. Don't you ever regret not letting me swear privacy of the house? I do not, Stuart said. Earth was especially upsetting because your similarity to us presented so many opportunities for cultural upheaval, abuses, and other issues. There were a lot of issues, but the rapports would have voted against any planet. They don't want to be responsible for more worlds. The benefit can be great, but we believe it's less than the risk, for now. And before Earth was discovered, wizards had agreed nearly unanimously that haphazardly seeking out new advanced societies is a bad idea. Stopping powerful people from trying has been impossible, though. One such person succeeded in finding Earth. Most knights and votaries believed the correct course of action was stealthy management of the situation. Some would have even been in favor of abandoning and sealing. That might sound cruel. It is cruel, but a stronger statement that the triplanets would no longer interact with any species discovered by careless glory hunters might have stopped people like those from deciding that a new resource world will be their legacy, or that they'll find a species more advanced than our own to fix chaos and teach us unimaginable magics. The street was quiet. No cars had passed by the time the walkway separated from the road and wound in the direction of the nonagonal white building that was the music school. What does sealing mean? It's a way of denying one part of reality interaction with everything that isn't sealed. I don't understand much about it. The method for doing it is kept secret, or we'd have people even worse than the glory hunters deciding to chop off pieces of the universe they don't like, as if they were pruning a bush. He paused. I am so grateful my people met your ancestors and that Earth wasn't cut off. Me too. What else was there to say to that? The rapports lost the vote, and the Grand Senate violated the rules it had set for itself. Humans and Earth were too captivating. And so your contract was formed, and it must not be allowed to fail. The worst fears of knights were never realized anyway. Earth has been untroubled by genocidal wizards and chaos, mostly. Genocidal wizards are the big fear of a small number of humans, Alden said. So don't casually say that if you're ever giving a speech to my planet. So we were discovered by just one wizard acting on their own? That's right. Our children's children will be told another story, I'm sure. What was the wizard's name? They have none, Stuart said. I see. And your family hasn't had anything to do with humans or Earth in 80 years, 80 of my years, because they voted against our inclusion and they're following their principles. Their principles have been preyed upon by time, Stuart said dryly. You've seen how eager they are to help themselves to my fruit baskets. I'm corrupting the family of the primary and the quaternary. It was already changing, Stuart said in a more serious voice. They say Rapport 1 tends to change at Father and Aunt Alice's pace. I believe the two of them just haven't had time to think much about humans over the last few years. But Aunt Alice has recently been offended by the justifications of a group that wants Earth to have a higher percentage of Rehabit avowed. And Father got to meet you after you helped me. He said that like the primary had been given a special treat. He loves his father so much, it's on his face every time he talks about him. Stuart, is the primary able to come home for... Will he be there for you during the first binding? No, said Stuart, gesturing to indicate they should walk around the building toward the back. I don't think he needs to be. He's already said what he wants to say. He has a way to call. And meeting me a little later when I am happy for what I have gained instead of grieving what I have lost will be good. I will be proud on that day. I can't believe he's not coming. I really can't. When do you think you'll do it? I'd like to know so that I can do whatever you'd find helpful. Stuart stopped walking. He stared at Alden. My soon friend, I will make a place for you in the ceremony of that day, even though there isn't one for an avowed. Then I'll be there. Alden swore it as firmly as Stuart just said, no matter what. It was going to be 10 days from now, on the anniversary of Father's own affixation. A bubble of fear formed in Alden's gut. This weekend is Welcome End, Stuart continued. It's an event hosted by Newling Knights to welcome the ones who will have their first binding in the coming weeks. The end of summer and the beginning of fall are the usual time for first binding. I agreed to delay half a year. Rapports 2 and 5 are in the other hemisphere, so they'll have their end of summer then. You have to go to another rapport instead of being at home. Alden found the idea much more enraging than he would have expected. No, Stuart said, eyes widening. I'll be at home. But I wanted it to be the right season somewhere on the mother, and with 2 and 5 going... I could find a first squad of peers if all goes well. The wind had picked up enough to blow a crispy piece of some plant across the walkway beside them. It was brown, dry, and dead. That's a long time and no time at all, Alden said finally. Stuart tilted his head. I'm not sure what you're thinking. Will you tell me? I'll finish the most important part of my choosing season before you do it, Alden said. That's what I'm thinking. My first binding shouldn't influence you. Your choosing season is your own. I've chosen to let it influence me. Don't worry. I'm trying to do what's right. They found the alcove and arrived back in the art summonarium not long after that. The moisture in the air and the decent temperature were so welcome that Alden could have melted onto the floor and slept with minimal encouragement. But he had one more responsibility to worry about. Where's Kuhn? Is he still with some member of your family, or did he get sent back to Earth? I expected him to send me at least one message to let me know what was happening. I should have shared the update I received with you, Stuart said. I'm sorry, that seems obvious now, but I was tired. He wasn't here long at all. Olorn Mom gave him a gift, and they sent him back to Anesidora. All right, I'll go collect my suitcase and head to Anesidora too then, and let you get some rest. Elias chose one name from the list of 15 while he enjoyed his second cup of coffee and a tray full of olives, cheese, bread, and jam. I'm ready, MBF, he said, leaning back and watching the screens that hovered in front of the sofa. Tell me why Alden Thorne is entertaining enough to be part of my Saturday morning. Make it fun. He popped an olive into his mouth and smiled at the image of two teenagers appeared. The moment was just after sunrise this morning, if he wasn't mistaken. They had just exited one of the boys' dormitories on the Salina North campus, and they were crossing a garden on their way to the girls' building. The springy one, agility brute, probably A rank, was carrying bags, and the other, familiar, must have seen his face in an old report. Oh yes, that one, was examining a cup made of unglazed clay with symbols carved around it. No, you can't hold it yet, the boy with the cup said. You can touch everyone else's souvenir, but I haven't even tried this one out, and a wizard gave it to me. Carbonation seems like too much of a challenge. Maybe orange juice? I can't believe you got to see two amazing places on Artona 1. Was the second one amazing? You haven't said much about the second one. The informant peered at the cup even harder than its owner was. Translate those symbols if you can, MBF. One possible translation is Cup of 1,000 Gulps, the voice said in his ear. It was just a house in the woods, matey, said the boy with a cup. Just a normal house in normal woods with a few normal wizards in it. The people Alden knows are kind of boring. Body language and tonal analysis indicate he is lying, said MBF. I noticed, the informant grinned. Show me more.